Thailand is planning to raise its minimum wage to 400 baht a day for companies with over 200 employees. To help us understand this, we are joined by Natanan Wichitaksoran from TDRI and Xavier Estupinian from ILO. First off, what's going on with Thailand raising the minimum wage? Let's begin with Nate.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's political promise with the current government. I think with the success of the what they did about maybe 12 years ago in 2011, they did the similar thing when they want to raise the minimum wage to 300 baht. I think that's a concrete move. And then they got elected. Okay. So then now the Pheu Thai party, they want to do that again, even with the opposition party. I think that had been some ongoing discussion since late last year, but the political climate wasn't suitable. And now they are trying to do it, but I'm not too sure even now they can do it. But I think from my understanding, it's the political motive. But personally, I think in terms of economics, especially after the COVID, I think it's a time to raise the minimum.
I agree. This comes from a campaign promise. However, Thailand is increasing its minimum wage to 400 baht a day to address the rising cost of living and support workers' purchasing capacity. This adjustment follows obviously concerns of growing inequality and the minimum wage, which has failed to keep up with inflation and the country's economic development. Just as an example, since 2015, minimum wage in Thailand has increased by 2.7% in real terms, that is taking into account inflation. But this is one of the lowest increases if we compare to other ASEAN countries. So the government likely sees this as a means to reduce poverty and promote inclusive growth. However, its impact will be different for each province as the increase varies depending on the current minimum wage.
Just a follow-up on that, how should the minimum wage be determined and what should be considered?
Well, that's a good question. In Thailand, the minimum wage usually is determined through a tripartite process involving government, employer, and workers' representatives. The National Wage Committee does include the representatives from all these three groups and assess various social and economic factors before making recommendations on any wage adjustment. As prescribed by ILO's minimum wage fixing convention number 131, the determination of the level of minimum wage should take into account both the needs of workers and the families on one side and economic factors. So the Thai committee does take into account several elements, including the cost of living, inflation, national economic performance, the needs of workers and the families, as well as the ability of businesses, particularly SMEs, to absorb higher wage increases. Although there seems to be a political commitment in increasing the minimum wage, the determination should follow or should come from this evidence-based social dialogue and through a process of full consultation.
So given this, Xavier, how might larger companies benefit from paying higher wages to their employees?
Large companies can benefit also from higher wages through increased employee productivity, reduced turnovers. Better paid workers tend to be more motivated and have higher job satisfaction, leading to improved performance. Additionally, by creating more or by increasing wages, this can certainly stimulate local consumption, benefiting companies by creating more demand for goods and services.
Yeah, I think in addition to what Xavier mentioned, I think we can look at the way the large company they set up their wages, and also we need to look at industry they belong to. Okay, because like some large company, they already have their own formula to set up the wage. I really agree with Xavier that based on our interviews, like late last year and early this year, we interviewed many large companies. They do tend to move, like if they have to pay higher wage, they tend to move like as what Claudia mentioned in terms of productivity. For example, they might want to use more of the kind of like the technology to supplement, not to replace the labor cost, but to supplement to make more efficiency that will come to higher productivity.
And how will SMEs, which make up over 90% of Thailand's workforce, be affected in the long run?
Well, if the minimum wage is going to be extended to them, the impact may be different depending on which provinces they are located in. As you know, some provinces may see an increase that can raise from 8% to 21% approximately. So there's always need for an impact assessment to be done on SMEs, as they will initially experience some labor costs due to higher wages. However, similar to what I've said, in the longer run, these businesses can also use this as an opportunity to become more efficient and to maybe invest in higher value activities. SMEs can also offset wage increases in the long run, and this can drive innovation and enable SMEs to be more competitive in more lucrative markets with higher value added products or services. Overall, I think we can see positive outcomes in the long run for SMEs.
Yep. So I think what Xavier mentioned, I think that's what we want, because we want to have to make the minimum wage increase to try to push the SMA, so they can adapt the new technology, make it to be like a labor intensive. Okay, but there are a couple of issues that I want to address here, because first, we do have informal employment a lot, and I think sometimes all those people, like those enterprises, they have a lot of them have the informal employment, and also the effect is if the minimum wage increase is not the level. I mean, the amount of the increase is not that much. That's not going to change much. So I think, but if the level of the increase is substantial enough to make that a MSME aware that they need to do something, I think that will be something that they need to think about. Because as we mentioned, and we all know, the minimum wage is the right that workers need to have. Okay, so I think if we increase that up to the substantial level, I think that we have some larger impact.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Nate and Xavier.
Thank you so very much.
Once again, those were Natanan Wichitagsorn, visiting research advisor at Thailand Development Research Institute, and Xavier Estupinian, wage specialist at ILO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. For more news, visit AsianBusinessReview.com.